Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a lap guide for the new lap time challenge taking place at Laguna Seca with the Chevrolet Corvette C.XR VGT. To access this lap time challenge, go over to sport mode, so make sure you have menu book number 9 completed so you can go ahead and access this mode. Go ahead and click on online time trials and click on the lap time challenge that is currently in the middle. So this lap time challenge goes on until the end of September 10, 2025, where we're in a fully stocked Corvette C.XR VGT. It is 2,000 horsepower, and this thing is a bit of a wild card to drive. Your goal is to get within the 3% time range of the world record time when the event ends, as that is when your lap time gets counted, and hopefully you'll get the 2 million credits. Now let's get started with the lap guide, where things get a bit funky almost right away. So when you're starting your new lap, brake before the 3 board, and when you're exiting this final turn to start your new lap, exit on 4th or 5th gears. For me, I like to exit on 4th gear, but I do see some people exiting this turn on 5th gear when they're starting their new lap. You have to be really careful when you're getting on the throttle, because the batteries do kick in pretty hard, and you don't want to get too much wheel spin because that will hurt your acceleration, which will cause you time, or worst case scenario, you spin out or you get crazy understeer and end up going off of the track. So you'll see me be really gradual getting on the throttle, even avoiding the green stuff that is on the right side of the track for this final turn, because that will contribute to the wheel spin, which will hurt your time. Again, just trying to be really gradual getting back on the throttle. Shift just as the shift bar on the bottom of the screen blinks. Brake before the 4 board. You are braking really early for this turn because you're going over 200 miles an hour. So use all of your braking power, and you're going to turn in just before the 1 board, so where this white mark on the right is, and you want to gradually make your way down to 1st gear. So right here, you see me going down to 1st gear, easing off of the brake, so doing a bit of trail braking. And as you're getting ready to hit this apex, go up to 3rd gear, and once again, be really gradual getting on the throttle. And you'll want to pay attention to my throttle input, where I kind of do it in stages, where I go 50%, then 90%, then 100% on the throttle to try to make sure that this car doesn't try to throw me into the wall. And generally speaking, you want to try to get the car pointing as straight as possible towards the next section of the track. That way you can be a little more aggressive getting back on the throttle. Now bring yourself towards the left, brake before the 2 board that is on the left, so you'll be using full braking power for a short moment, and you're going to make your way down to 2nd gear just to let the car turn in a bit more right here. Turn in before the 1 board, start to ease off of the brakes as you're turning in, so doing a little bit of trail braking, and as you're getting ready to hit the apex, which is right around here, go up to 3rd gear. Do not hit the sausage curve that is on the right, because that will ruin your day. And again, just gradually get back on the throttle. Here I take a little longer to go back to full throttle, because this is one part where the car loves to get a bit snappy. Now brake right as you reach the 2 board, and you're going to turn in just before the 1 board. I'm at 4th gear right here, but I do shift down to 3rd gear for a brief moment just to let the car turn in a bit more. So you see me shift down to 3rd gear in just a moment. Down to 3rd gear, quickly ease off of the brakes, get close and personal with the sausage curb on the right, and you can already see that I'm back up to 4th gear, and I'm starting to gradually get back on the throttle. I don't want to be too aggressive because that can induce some understeer, and I don't want to touch the sand on either side of the track. Bring yourself towards the right, brake just as you're about to go under the mother's bridge. Use all of your braking power, and you're going to turn in as you approach the 1 board that is on the right. And you do see me starting to ease off of the brakes just as I'm starting to turn in, and gradually make your way down to 2nd gear for more rotation. But as you hit the apex, get ready to go back up to 3rd gear and be nice and gradual getting back on the throttle, because this is another part where this car can get a bit snappy if you get a little too aggressive getting back on the throttle. Now go ahead and bring yourself towards the right. You're braking as the bridge ends, so this is actually going to be around the 3 board, but I like to use the bridge or the end of the bridge as my reference point, as that's a lot easier to spot. So this is exactly where I start to brake. You can barely see the 3 board on the right. and you want to use full braking power for a really brief moment. And here you want to be careful about dipping your wheels towards the right. You can actually just barely see me dip to the right. Be careful about that, because if you dip your wheels to the right, your car will not turn and you're not going to make it. Now turn in before the one board, easing off the brakes, and you can see that for a brief moment I am letting the car coast for just a moment, so no braking, no throttle input to let the car turn in just a little bit more. And as I hit the apex, go ahead and get back on the throttle. I think some people do exit this turn on 5th gear, but for me, I'm more comfortable on 4th gear. Then use this white mark on the left as your next braking point, and you're going to use all of your braking power, because you're going to approach the corkscrew right here, down to 2nd gear, down to 1st gear, and do take advantage of the red or white curves as you're still within track limits. Just as I'm starting to go down the hill or the corkscrew, I'm going to make my way up to 3rd gear and be really careful getting back on the throttle, because this is definitely one part where you don't want to get too aggressive and end up spinning out. So here I am on 3rd gear and just trying to be really careful getting back on the throttle, trying to get the car pointing towards the next section of the track before I can fully accelerate my way out. Before the curb on the right starts, that is where you want to start to do a little bit of throttle control. I try not to use the brakes, but you will see in a moment where I use just a tiny bit of braking to fine tune my car's speed and direction. But for the most part, you should be able to get away with using throttle control. Now, as you're hitting the apex on the left, you can shift to the 4th gear, which is what I do right here. I know some people stay on 3rd gear, but I like to shift up to 4th gear. Use the entire width of the track. Bring yourself towards the left and brake before the 2 board. And you're going to turn in as you're passing the 1 board that is on the left. So use all of your braking power. You will make your way down to 3rd gear. Start turning on in as you reach the 1 board. And start to ease off of the brakes as you're turning on in. Now here you do want to be careful, really easy to hit the sausage curb. Nice and careful getting back on the throttle, bring yourself towards the right and brake just as the curb on the right starts. So this is well before the 3 board, and as you saw earlier in the video, you will want to try to make your way down to 1st gear for more rotation. Turn in at the 1 board and start to ease off of the brakes as you're turning on in. So I go down to 1st gear for more rotation and quickly make my way up to 4th gear and be really gradual getting back on the throttle to avoid any unnecessary wheel spin. And again, avoid the green area on the right, because that will contribute to wheel spin, which will hurt your time. And stay towards the right as you finish your lap. Now let's go through this again, but this time I'm not going to stop the video, so this is going to be a bit quick. And yeah, this one's brutal. This one's really difficult because this car kind of has a mind of its own, where it likes to turn but also doesn't like to turn, and yeah, it just does a whole bunch of wacky things. Brake as you reach the 4 board, down to 1st gear for more rotation, back up to 3rd gear. You want to be really careful getting back on the throttle to avoid any unnecessary wheel spin. And yeah, you are going to have to get close and personal with those sausage curbs, which is pretty scary, because if you hit them, you're definitely not going to have a good day. You can see that I'm just trying to be really careful with my throttle input, because I don't want the car to step out on me. Even if it steps out just a little bit, that's going to result in time lost. Coast for just a moment right here, let the car turn a bit more, and go ahead and get back on the throttle. Brake at the white mark on the left, down to 1st gear, exit on 3rd gear. Really careful with the throttle input. A lot more throttle control for this left turn. Go ahead and bring yourself towards the left. And again, just trying to be really careful with the throttle input. Try not to understeer off of the track. There I got really lucky. Actually, there were a couple of spots where I got really lucky. And again, being really careful getting back on the throttle, trying to avoid any unnecessary wheel spin so I don't lose time. And let's go through this one more time, but this time we are going to be in bumper cam. So again, 4th gear exit. Some people do exit on 5th gear. Avoid the green stuff on the right, as that will contribute to wheel spin, which will make you lose time. Brake at the 4 board, down to 1st gear for more rotation. Exit on 3rd gear. Be really careful getting back on the throttle. Just nice and gradual getting back on the throttle to avoid any unnecessary wheel spin. Down to 2nd gear for more rotation. Here I do go up to 4th gear for just a moment, down to 3rd, then back up to 4th. Brake as you reach the mother's bridge, down to 2nd gear for more rotation, exit on 3rd gear, nice and careful getting back on the throttle. Then brake just as the bridge ends, down to 4th gear. Some people do exit on 5th gear over here, and then brake when the curb on the left ends. That is another braking point right there. Up into 3rd gear, nice and careful getting back on the throttle. A little bit of throttle control, or actually not a little bit, quite a bit of throttle control that you'll need. Down to 3rd gear, really careful with your throttle input. You don't want to understeer off of the track at the very end. Down to 1st gear, exit on 4th gear or even 5th gear. I'm doing 4th gear because I'm more comfortable with that. Stay on the right, and with that, I was able to poke into the 104s, which definitely took a while, but it was pretty rewarding to finally be able to get into that time range. But hopefully this lap guide helps you out. If you found this video useful or entertaining, please do hit the like and the subscribe button. It'll tell me that you guys like seeing this kind of stuff. But that's all for me. Take care, everyone. This is Mr. MCA, the world's most okay player, and I'll see you in the next video.